Driving traffic organically or with paid media is one thing, and when the traffic arrives at the destination, converting it is another.
Our analytics go all the way through up until people adding products to the basket, entering the checkout and completing that checkout. And it's that powerful insight as to how customers behave in real time that allows us to provide our CPG partners with this data set.
93% of all e-commerce purchases are decided by the product images. Images are actually your online sales team. And you should really think about them that way.
It's great having lots and lots of data coming in, as long as you're able to take that data in a way that you're going to be able to do something with it, but then not lose sort of the ultimate objective of the company. What's your, yearly goal? What are you looking to achieve?
Interesting. So you work on session-based data, which is not common topic. There are a lot of different techniques and theories around this, but it's not your traditional click-through metrics data, right? It's real-time and it's coming from consumer consent. Just to alone is good enough value proposition and dynamic levers. But can you explain the difference for us and many of our own audience doesn't know the exact difference or are not familiar with the applications of session-based analytics data and why it matters or why it's even a game changer compared to the typical click-through media?
Yeah, great question. So as you know, you and I have worked in that space where perhaps clicking out to that retailer has been a challenge and a restriction for where the data stops. And so the approach that we've taken and the consented anonymized element of the data we're collecting allows us to provide full session analytics. So where customers are in the entire checkout flow, with what they land on, how they behave in that landing moment. Do they bounce? Do they spend time with the product description page? Our analytics go all the way through up until people adding products to the basket, entering the checkout and completing that checkout. And it's that powerful insight as to how customers behave in real time that allows us to provide our CPG partners with this data set, enabling them to make their optimizations off the back of that.
This raises another question, because every time we hear the phrase real time, of course, all the brand people who's holding the budget in their hand gets excited by this. How can we shift gears also real time to make our spend bring the most possible buck? So can you walk us through how this real-time analytics really allows or enables brand teams to optimize their campaigns? And if you have any examples from existing clients or suggested presented use cases, that would be also
Sure. So
just explain to the audience, and I'd like to get a couple of tidbits from the view.
Yeah, absolutely. So the real-time data comes in two ways. So the data we collect is event-based mechanisms, and our platform works really hard in the background to deliver that data in its dashboard form in a digestible UI in real time. So you can launch a campaign on a Monday morning, log in at Monday lunchtime and see which creative, A, B, or C. Is it video? Is it static? Is it a carousel that's actually proving to be the most effective in driving add to baskets, in driving conversions for your brand? And you can then make those budget allocation decisions in that moment based on the data you've seen that morning. Now, the other real-time element of our platform is, of course, observing that customer behavior, all anonymous, in real time, firing those relevant conversion pixels and sharing that data back with the ad platforms, which is going to automatically enhance campaign performance.
Now I have a couple of sparking bits in the back of my head. Because if we get this analytics capability with that speed and with that anonymity, also granularity in its nice balance, we're running those campaigns in relatively smaller budgets compared to the big elephants in the room. How does it look like if we can bring this audience insights and real-time behavior data to our largest campaigns at Meta, Google, TikTok? How can we scale it proportionally and make a big impact on the other social digital mediums?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's always going to be that manual budget allocation that goes on, but really the powerhouse is that automated piece that sits in the background. And by now, actually, all of our clients do this as best practice, is to implement those conversion pixels from the platforms. And what that's doing is it's really lifting the lid. So as it stands, for a CPG brand that's not engaged with Portal, their ad platforms run algorithms, and those algorithms are starving because they haven't got any data feedback as to what customers are doing on those retail websites. And so by implementing Portal, we're able to actually share real-time data signals back with those smart platforms, those smart bidding algorithms. And what the platforms will then do is understand who is having positive sessions on those retailer sites, who to retarget, who not to retarget, and how to build lookalike audiences off the back of those platforms. And that will allow your budgets at scale within Meta, Google, and TikTok to perform at an enhanced level that's not been seen before.
Okay, that's exciting. I'd like to hear some of these conversations between the MarTech team and the brand teams. I'm sure they will be all rolling eyes and shaking some hands. Now, my tech side's asking me on the back end, let me summarize my understanding. So we're looking at consumer consent, which is a huge value proposition because we're not dependent on approval of any partner or platform. And we're looking at real-time advanced session data analytics. And we're looking also at shopper behavior on the portal. This gives us a lot of advantages and a lot of capabilities. But there was always one side of me asking, okay, what's more and what's more? Can you share a little bit of additional features you're thinking about, additional value proposition you're already thinking in the coming quarters? Is this going to stop here, or are there going to be more features, more capabilities in the coming quarters?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you know, Mert, I'm passionate about helping CPG brands and also enabling that commerce funnel, not just for the CPG brand, but for the consumer and for the retailer as well. And so for me, the next stages for Portal are to bring ad platform data into the equation. So how can we start to understand spend aligned closely with session performance? And that's something that we want to bring into one roof, so you can understand what you're spending on a particular campaign and align it to the actual session-based performance to make even more informed campaign optimization or budget optimization decisions. And aside from that, it's then starting to move into a world with, okay, well, we have this consented data set around a particular brand in a particular market. We're getting 6-month or let's say quarterly data from a retailer in terms of our sales. We can actually start to move into the world where we're using customized machine learning to look at originating data set and how that's affecting our end sales and really modeling the unknown. So that's a little tidbit of what's coming next for Portal.
But we're talking pretty much static data or predictable data. But there's another layer of complication, and this is another buzzword. Now I'm going to throw a buzzword at you. Real-time data analytics. Because brands love it, data companies love it, but it's really hard to achieve. I mean, real-time data flow, yes, possible. But predictive and prescriptive insights from data in real time, this is a challenge. So have you worked in any recent project, or what are the most common problems you're hearing from your recent customers when it comes to retail, real-time data analytics integration to the customer journey, shopper behavior, post-purchase analytics? Is it realistic?
I don't know if I would say it's not realistic, but I think that it needs to be considered.
Okay.
So I'll answer the question on some of the challenges that we've seen, because I've certainly had the conversations, because it's such a buzzword, if you like. So it's the AI of this conversation. It's always going to come up because that's what people think that they want. And don't get me wrong, real-time data is great if it's done right. The problem that I've seen with some of our clients, and this goes in my past experience as well, is getting too caught up in the weeds of it all.
Right.
And then losing sight of the big picture. It's great having lots and lots of data coming in, as long as you're able to take that data in a way that you're going to be able to do something with it, but then not lose sort of the ultimate objective of the company. What's your, yearly goal? What are you looking to achieve? Rather than, oh no, this new product that we launched, people don't like it the way that we thought they were going to like it, or we're getting really bad reviews on this one store that we've got. So you can have all of that real-time data that's coming in and the analytics, that's great, but you need to make sure that you don't lose like the ultimate strategy that you're aiming for, and find a way to sort of weave it into the overall goal. That's the challenge that I've seen, people getting kind of caught up in it.
We're all victims of getting excited and carried away with the next shiny object in the room or another new technology coming in a pilot. But I like the approach that don't lose sight of the big picture, overall strategy, category dynamics, which brings me to the measurement of the success. And all these initiatives, depending on the time frame, depending on the annual plan, comes down to the ROI. Now, I'm sure you have many different case studies, many different stories to share. Can you share a couple of use cases with some of your clients? It's up to you if you want to mention some or not, but how the research, how the shopper behavior analytics, and any of those features you provided help them to improve the ROI? What successful use cases can be implemented that is not in the site?
Yeah. So as an example, we were working with a European retailer, a fashion retailer, and they'd launched a new app. And the app, it was fine, but it was fine. Okay. And they kind of knew that that was the case. It was fine. It was fine.
Okay.
They knew that that was the case. So they were getting, I suppose, a little bit of feedback from the end users, but they also had their own internal concerns about the interface and just the usability of the app. What they didn't know and what they needed a little bit of, I suppose, help with is understanding what kind of impact that was having on their sales. Because we live in an app world. Like every single company that probably it wants to be trading at the moment will either have an app or is developing an app, because that's how we purchase.
Teenagers develop an app.
I mean, they do it in about a second. I don't understand it, but I'll use it. And we've all been in a situation where we've potentially downloaded an app for a company that we know quite well, but the app isn't great and we don't want to use it. We might go back to their website, but there'll be cases where we as consumers will say, oh, do you know what? I'm going to move on to another company. And that's what we were trying to help this retailer with, is understanding, what those problems were, what those pain points were, how we can address them, and what kind of impact that would then have on like the sales and ROI in as a whole. So what we did was we did a kind of two-tiered approach with them. So we brought in both CXO exec levels from tech support companies to have a look at the app and kind of go into, the nitty-gritty of it all. And then at the same time, having those conversations with the end user to say, what do you like about the app? What don't you like about the app? What could be better? Where are the flow issues? Trying to understand what that sort of usability came back round to and how that aligned with the data that we were collecting from the tech side of things. And what we were able to do is align them and say, okay, well, these are pain points, and the support that we've interviewed, they're saying these are easy to fix. And that's great. That's a great win for us to be able to go back to the client and say, this is an easy fix. We can fix these. So providing the action points on the back of that, checking in with them after, I think we gave it a couple of months, check in to see how the usability and the customer satisfaction from the actual app usage side of things had increased. And it was like exponential. They had noticed a massive uptick in sales through the app. They had been able to launch new products because of it. Ultimately, it was kind of an obvious problem that they just needed to understand what the actual impact was. And we were able to give them a bit of a, number behind it to say, let's fix these things because it'll make you X amount. And I think that it exceeded that from memory.
And bringing an external partner from the tech side of things and bringing this neutral look or objective look is also, I think, make it easy to get the alignment or the buy-in of the client rather than imposing your own point of view. I think that's a good approach. But we don't get to talk to a consumer behavior specialist and data tech founder every day. So I want to ask you the reason why visuals are so important on the product detail page. I mean, I have some learning and experience, but I want to hear the scientific reasoning from you. Why consumers weigh and prioritize product visuals over many other attributes on a detail page, like 50, 60 attributes any given time?
I want you
How human brain work before we go to the credit card and approve.
Yeah, sure. So the human brain processes images 60,000 times faster than text, right? We see faster than we can read. No. And 80% of what we remember is visual. And when you actually look at the PDP itself, in fact, 93% of all e-commerce purchases are decided by the product images. And I'll tell you why. So think about, Mert, everything that you've ever purchased over your entire life. The awesome shirt, the shoes you're wearing, your house, the Airbnb you stayed at, your car, the coffee machine sitting at your house. What's the one thing that all of those purchases have in common? They appealed to you.
Yes.
You saw something, it sparked something, and you wanted it. That's how the consumer thinks. That's how we buy. So when you think about the first moment of truth or the last moment of truth, it actually starts and stops with images, because we look at products before we buy them online. Even in the age of AI search, right? Where the AI bots are going to go find and kind of identify the most relevant products to us. You're still going to have that confirmatory step of like, yes, that does look good to me. And so when you think about that, images are actually your online sales team. And you should really think about them that way. And so, you know, to everybody in the room, I mean, if you ever managed a sales team, like how could you possibly think about doing that without having any metrics? You'd be nuts, right? Like how would you know which ones are really working hard and performing that you're going to reward? And how would you know which ones need to be, you know, enhanced?
I'm risking revealing my age here, but there's a term for this old school methodology. They used to call it spray and pray.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's even worse. It's like blindfold.
You're right.
Right? Like, I remember it was probably 10 years ago, I had a conversation with a very large dish soap brand that I think we've all used. And I'd asked the brand manager, like, what's the best image of brand X? It's like, I don't know. So what do you mean you don't know? Like, you're like, but, and it's not because that person was doing anything wrong. The technology wasn't there.
Wasn't available.
The data wasn't available. And it just
A/B
kind of
testing wasn't even a thing up until 15, 16 years ago.
No, and all an A/B test tells you, if you and I are running from a bear, I'm probably getting eaten by the bear. It's not telling us. It's not telling you how good that runner actually is.
That's true.
And it's not telling you how good that is versus the competitor set that you're trying to steal eyes and buys from. So it becomes this. It kind of creates this really interesting moment for us as an industry that, like, commerce as a whole has a $1 trillion blind spot. And it's that nobody knows how effective or how attractive they are presenting their products to the people they're trying to sell to, which sounds nuts. But really it's because the technology wasn't available. And what we had found, like, I never set out to start an AI company. You know, I was interested in technology. I'm an inventor. But it turns out that AI is the perfect solution to this problem.
At scale and at speed.
Exactly.
Now you're opening another interesting door for me, and I'm going to go through it. Because last 3-4 years, we were all caught up with the retail media frenzy, right?
Yeah.
Retail media driving traffic, retail media growth, all the retail media platform proliferation, etc. But driving traffic organically or with paid media is one thing. And when the traffic arrives at the destination, converting it is another.
Yeah.
And that brings the question of content effectiveness, which we're talking about. So, do you agree my observation that more and more CPG brands are kind of reached to plateau of retail media FOMO? They've figured out how to manage the retail media bandwagon acceleration. And now they're focusing more and more content effectiveness because they understood that there's a synergy between the content conversion and the traffic driven by the retail media. Can you walk us through your observations or what you've been hearing from your clients about the effect or efforts going towards content effectiveness, how they're improving their content to improve the conversion, because all this retail media growth and funding should come with an ROI?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the best analogy that I heard for this was from one of our partners, Todd Hasenfeld at Colgate. Todd. World-class human, awesome guy. And he and the team are incredibly innovative. And one of the things that Todd shared at a recent event that really just stuck with me is this analogy of a block party. So imagine you're hosting a block party and you are inviting all of your friends. You're inviting the most important people to you in your circle to this party. And you say, I'm going to have lobster and we're going to have, steak, and it's just going to be this ornate room. And now imagine, everybody shows up and you've got like kind of chicken nuggets on the floor and it kind of stinks and smells kind of funny. What are you going to do? You're going to walk right out. And so that's sort of this kind of interesting thing that's happening with retail media is the retail media teams and the brands are so focused on driving all of the traffic, but they aren't necessarily realizing that all of those eyes are then going to come and look at something.
Right.
And that content, whether it's effective or not, has a direct impact
on your retail media
ROI.
Yeah.
And it actually gets worse. So imagine you're doing sponsored search and they're paying for that click, right? So your hero image, it looks like a great can of tuna fish or great,
Right.
whatever it
Even
is.
alive tuna, yeah.
Some fantastic looking dog food. And you click on that image, you go to the PDP, and then you don't like what you see. What does the shopper do? They click back and click on somebody else's. So it's a scary thing to think about, but your retail media spend is directly feeding leads to your competitors if your product page content isn't effective.
Excited to meet us at industry events next year? Scan the QR code to view the full event calendar kit.